Hey guys, it's Chad again. We're here to do a movie review of a 2000s classic, The Devil Wears Prada. We have my friend Angie here along for the ride. Say hi, Angie.
Hi guys.
All right, and we're going to get straight into it. So I think you and me we're going to have some very different views on this movie because you saw it like when it was new. It's one of your favorite
hmm
movies, and I've saw it for the first time today actually, and I took a lot of notes while I was watching it. And because it's a dated film, it's from the 2000s. It's going. My takes on it are going to be a little different because I'm a watching it as a fully grown adult, and b I'm looking at it with a in hindsight, very 2000 stuff. The character pulls out a flip phone at one point, so
hmm
it felt dated to me from the start. But I will say the number one complaint I had when watching this movie was the score, the musical score, the soundtrack. It was very poorly mixed. And I have a little bit of background in audio engineering, things like that, and just working with sounds, working with music. And I will say, they did not know what they were doing. The music was all mood based, which is good. They did a very good job of matching the mood of the songs they selected to the overall vibe of the scene that they were in, but they didn't mix the audio properly, and they definitely didn't mix it properly with the vocals, the actual spoken dialogue. So sound mixing on this film, got to give it minus points for that. I don't know if you noticed that as a kid, and maybe I haven't watched many 2000 movies, but maybe they're all like this, but I just noticed that.
Honestly, I've never paid attention to the soundtrack to this movie. Like I cannot remember what anything sounds like off the top of my head. I'm not even sure I'd even recognize it if I just heard it playing somewhere. Like I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, I it was the first thing that jumped out to me from the very moment I started watching it. I was like, "Oh man, the sounds on this not good." Somebody didn't. I mean, they should get their money back for that. Maybe they didn't spend any money though. Maybe they just had somebody's nephew, mix all the tracks in for them. So
Was it that bad?
it was pretty bad. But that's the thing. I'm thinking of like modern mixing techniques and layering and things like that. And Hollywood, they're always 10 years ahead of the game. But at this point, this movie's almost 20 years old. You know what I mean? So maybe I'm just looking at it with advanced ears. I'm listening to it with advanced ears. But it was bad. I'll be honest. I think it had to be bad for the time even. Like it's bad, you know what I mean?
Really?
Like some stuff you're looking back and you're like, this kind of sucks. Like when you hear music from the '50s, you're like, did they record this in a tin can? But
hmm
but this was like, I don't know. That was good for the era in the '50s. This, I don't know if it was even good for 2006. But that was the first thing I noticed. I will say, I think every actor in this did a pretty good job. The acting was, I feel, it was pretty on point. Like, and there's some A-list names in here. Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway,
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci. Like these are people we know could act. But I'll say, like, it felt like they were on the top of their game in this film. Like I've seen a lot of Meryl Streep films. I'll say this is actually one of her best. Crazy enough, like her best performances as an actor. Not one of the best films she was in, but one of her best performances for sure. Because I forgot it was Meryl Streep for a minute. She was really just the character.
Well, yeah, and like her character is based on Anna Wintour, and that was like really clear to everyone based on her performance because she just gave the same vibes as Anna in the movie.
Sadly, I know nothing about the fashion industry. Anna Wintour,
She's Vogue's editor in chief,
shout out Vogue.
Vogue magazine.
Don't tell me that you model if you ain't been in Vogue. Real talk. Hey, I mean,
But that is who the character is based on. Like Anna is known for being like really icy and cold, and like there's a lot of rumors about people who were actually they were actually working for her. They were her secretaries, and it's based on that very loosely, but that's
got
that's why the film was so popular as well. Like
because
that had a lot to do with it.
because all of Anna Wintour's friends were just like, hey, you got to see this. Or I guess all of her enemies actually probably would be the ones recommending it.
She's just like a really iconic person in fashion. So getting a movie like this, like even somebody daring to make a movie like this about her, well, not about her, because they're not like straight up saying like this is her, but editor in chief of a magazine and
And Mean.
A magazine that's similar to Vogue in New York. Like it's very
It's clearly
like
her. It's her, but it's
obvious.
not her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I get what you're saying. Um, Another thing I noticed. This might be something you disagree with me on. This might be something the audience disagrees with me on, but the like intense work culture that they were showing in this, like the hyper, like, oh, you got to do all this, and maybe it's because I live in New York, and I've worked at jobs in New York City. This is like, I'm looking at him like she wasn't asking anything extreme. Like, this is kind of just what it's like to work in New York. Like, she was like, the movie made it seem like she was like on her, like she was going crazy, overly like high demands. And I'm just like, none of this is that crazy to me. All this is just stuff like, yeah, you wanted to work in New York City, baby. That's what you do. I will say though, the one really interesting part is this era. Like people had cell phones in this movie, but they weren't a thing, and especially weren't like what we have now with smartphones and all that now.
Mm-mm.
So it's just interesting how, like, looking at that, like, oh, they're always on the clock. They're always taking these calls. Like, she took a call on her house phone once. Like, you could be not home. Like, it's just so interesting to see, like, everybody's texting their boss. They're plugged in all the time. They're doing that. But in the movie, like, she keeps getting calls from her boss. And to me, that's crazy. Like, it was something funny to notice, something very of the era that now is like, looking back, it's like, wow. People used to have to, like, pick up the phone and wait. Now, they don't have to wait. They'll just send you a text. It's like, you better be able to read it. You better respond immediately, So I guess,
Yeah, that's true. It's a different, like that type of world doesn't exist in the same way now.
no, I think she had like a beeper or a pager or something too in the movie. I don't know. I might be misremembering. I'm just like filling in old timey stuff, but it was just so funny. I will say one other thing I noticed is, like, in a lot of 2000 films that I've seen, 2000s films that I've seen, they had this like shy, nerdy, like good intentioned girl. You know what I mean? Like that trope. And
Yeah.
this movie uses it. And looking at it, it
Hmm.
almost felt like it was a joke. You know what I mean? It felt like I was watching a parody. But I realized, like, I'm not watching a parody. It's just this trope has kind of fallen out of common use. Like, it used to be like in every movie, like, or like every rom com, every girl like chick flick, like all these dramas, all the comedy, like every movie, like that
Hmm.
was a girl character, like a stock character. And I feel like we've kind of moved away from that. Like, I can't think of the last time I saw that a movie with that with that.
Like a girl next door type that got a glow up in the
Yeah.
later part of the movie.
Yeah, 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 or just like, yeah, in general, like we don't use that trope as much anymore in modern film, which I guess, I mean, I think it probably just had to be that way because when I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is a joke. Like, they're making it like they're parodying, but no, they're not parodying anything. This is what people parody. This is like what people make fun of. Like, this is them doing it honestly. It's just interesting to me.
I don't know. I feel like they made it that way because there are so many people who would find that character relatable, who don't really care about fashion and who find it silly to even worry about. And it's kind of like because in the movie there comes a part where she explains to her how the people in that world make so many decisions for the rest of us.
I
And so that's, I think it was meant to be kind of an eye opener for people that's like this stuff actually matters more than most people may think it does.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that's a very 2000s thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, if this film was made today, I don't think that's the type of character she would be. Do you know what I mean? I don't think the main character would be who she is. Like, if
No,
somebody,
she'd be like a Gen Z girl
she'd be a girl boss type. You know what I mean?
who like tweets about her being boss or something.
100%. That is not a relatable character to fall back.
Person anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
I could agree with that.
Tom Brady's wife was in this. Notice that. What? You know,
Giselle?
yeah, 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 yeah. She's in it. She makes a cameo. Her cameo was
Yeah.
fun because I actually know who she is, even though I don't keep up with fashion. It was interesting though. Like, I don't know, just that's one other thing I did notice is just a lot of these models all kind of look the same. like I know like a lot of people get like criticize the modern like Victoria's Secret shows and the fashion industry now. They're like, why do they have fat people everywhere? Why do they have people that look like this, disabled people? Like, why are they, shit? They're trying to make like a freak show almost. They like make these people kind of just parading them out there just like look at all this stuff. But honestly, it's more interesting this way. I'd rather have all these like all these different body types, stuff that people think looks crazy than the same. Like I swear, they look like the same woman with different hair colors, just rotating through all the time. Like, and I know we say like, oh, diversity is overdone, all that, but like when every single person that walks on these runways, that appears as a model, that does this, they're all just a white woman with a variety of hair and eye colors, same face shape, same like. None of them look shocking. They're all like super skinny, like they haven't eaten. Like this era of modeling was boring. But
Yeah,
that's
and I mean, diversity 10 years ago was very different in the media. N- Like when this movie came out, it wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. But even so, though, I feel like that was staying true to the actual environment because the movie wasn't diverse, but also the fashion world wasn't as diverse as it is now. Most successful models were white women, and then like a couple of
Tyra Banks.
black women that were like that are iconic in that world. So I guess in that case it wouldn't have even looked right. Like it wouldn't have been realistic to cast a
Anything
bunch
else?
of
Yeah.
people.
And
Yeah.
I'm not blaming the movie for that. The movie's true to its
Hmm.
era. You know what I mean? Like I said, I have a different view of it because once again, I'm only coming at it from a modern lens. You can, go back and forth from the modern lens to the lens you viewed it through the first time you saw it. So you have very different perspectives on this than me. I will say it's
Yeah, I was
crazy
a
to
kid.
Yeah, I will say it's crazy to think about that with how, with the fashion industry centered around New York, Paris, London, those areas, and those are all today. Like when you look at the fashion industry and you look online and you saw that stuff, like those are very black. Paris, I think, is one of the blackest cities in Europe. So like it's
Hmm.
interesting to see this idea of just they were in Paris. I didn't see a single black person in those scenes, and I'm just like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never seen a modern photo of Paris without a couple black people in it. But yeah, no. One thing I did really like that I saw was that speech she gave, that the one you mentioned, the Cerulean speech, where she brought up the sweater and all that, and
Yeah.
that was that. I'll say, like, I feel like it probably, like when you saw it 2006 or whenever this movie came out, when you saw it for the first time, then it probably hit harder. But even today, as a first time viewer, it still hits. It's an amazing movie speech, a great scene. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
That's my favorite. I think it's like a really iconic speech that can be applied in any era of fashion. So if somebody had told her, a character that 50 years ago it would have applied, and 50 years from now it'll still apply. Like it's really timeless.
Yeah, I still don't. I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at this purely as like a film, like an art piece. I still don't really agree with that. But hey, I mean,
You don't think it's a timeless speech?
no, I think the speech is great for what it is. I
Yeah.
don't agree with the thesis of the speech, the idea that fashion matters that much. But I'm
You don't?
not at all.
So what did you like about the speech? Because that's the whole point of it, that it does matter
I
more
don't.
than.
I don't have to agree with an argument to find it well articulated.
Well, it is well articulated, but it's
Yes.
hard to understand why you wouldn't agree. Like that's her whole point. You're
All she
you're
did. All she.
Andy.
Go
You're
ahead.
Andy in Cerulean right now.
I'm not even in Cerulean. That's the crazy part.
You're Andy in Cerulean. You're not her in Valentino. You have not reached that yet.
I doubt I ever will. Valentino's expensive. The boss, honestly though, like you said, like your Anna Wintour cold-hearted mean, wasn't that mean? I personally have had meaner and more cold-hearted bosses than her. Low key, I would love this job. Like I would really do this job.
Oh my god, you're a masochist.
Yeah, I'm not a masochist. I wouldn't find it painful.
I don't think that you would do that job.
I
I
would.
think it's easier said than done, but like she was getting calls 24/7 from her boss. That's not the culture of work that's considered acceptable now,
It
even though a
definitely
lot
is.
of people continue to work that way. But most people, especially in our generation, they're not going to be taking calls outside of work like that.
Like I
There's more
said,
of an emphasis on work-life balance.
nah, people still get text. Like you see it every day. People will they'll be like, "Oh, my boss texted me asking if I can cover a shift." They texted me. I'm telling you, you're right. No one's calling. People text now.
No, but like she wanted her to actually do tasks
People do
on
that.
her time off, and even though that's common, it's not as widely accepted
No,
anymore.
you're mistaken, but that's a societal thing that's not really related to the film. Let's see.
I feel like it's relative.
I will say the outfits and the whoever did the what's the word, the dressing, what do you call that, the costuming for the film, great job, because 2000s film and TV and all that stuff is known for like being tacky and why are you wearing 5 layers and it's ugly and goofy, but like honestly, these outfits that they put Anne Hathaway in still look good to this day, most of them. Like
Yeah,
some of them look
because
2000s, but they still look good.
they're all designer. They're all real designer pieces.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the part where I think we're first going to disagree on and have different takes on. Actually, I don't know how. I don't know. You may agree with me on this, but it's just it's very interesting to me. Actually, we'll come back to that. I'm sorry. Sorry, that's not good. Not good YouTube, but we'll come back to it. One thing I want to get on before that is the pacing of the film. One more film criticism before we get to the plot criticisms. This is a critique I have, but I think it's really good. The pacing of this film is phenomenal. This is its strongest point. There's never a point where the film drags and I'm like, oh, I just got to get through this next 10 minutes and it'll get good again. Every scene has impact. It feels like it matters. This is a tight film. Like it's almost 2 hours. It's an hour and 40 minutes, but it's an hour and 40 that I felt watching it. I was like, this is amazing. Like I want to experience every single minute of this film. Like from start to finish, every scene felt well placed. Do you agree with that, or were there portions where you were like, nah?
No, I agree with that. I feel like it was timed really well, and it felt like like they did the whole time passing bits really well, where it's just like a montage of her running around and her outfits gradually get better. I feel like that's one of my favorite scenes where she's just like walking this down the same street in a different coat, in a different designer coat each time. Each one just better than the last. Like
Oh,
that's my favorite part.
I didn't even notice they were getting better or were supposed to be. I thought it was just showing. Oh, never mind. I didn't even notice that. That's why you're here. I didn't know that it was supposed to like represent her fashion getting better. I thought she was just trying. I thought it was getting cold. Like I didn't know that's
No.
what was going on.
No, because like at one point in the scene, what's her name? The redhead. She looks over at her and kind of, like she looks her over and she's like, you can tell that in her head she's like, whoa, like who are you? You're not the same girl that came in Cerulean anymore. She was wearing things that matched up, like that were up to par with what everybody else in the office was wearing, that are very much into fashion.
Yeah, I'm sure other viewers would have noticed that. It was a good one. They pointed stuff out like that out occasionally for people like me who didn't notice. So that's good. Hey, sometimes you got to tell the audience what you want to tell them. You can't show them. You got to tell them what you're showing them.
Yeah.
All right. So now on to the plot criticism now. These are more character criticisms, like decisions that were made. One, this woman cheats on her boyfriend a lot, and it is not treated like a bad thing. Like this movie is very pro cheating. It feels like it is insane how much she cheats on her boyfriend. I'm gonna be
Did
honest.
she,
Go ahead.
wasn't that like just at the end where she was with that blonde guy or something?
She was emotionally cheating on him from about halfway through the film. Like maybe not physically cheating, but like she was entertaining this dude flirting with her all the time. Various points throughout this film.
Um, I feel like that's not even something that like registered to me as much
Yeah,
till the very end, but yeah, I could agree with that. She did.
yeah. You know, we've been having a lot of backlash lately in the modern era against women working. You know, a lot of women want to be like housewives. They want that domesticity. They have like the terms on the internet of, you know, I want to be a traditional woman, trad wife, all that type of stuff. And a lot of men,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have naturally gone, you know, a little bit of a rightward shift. But I think maybe this era, this girl boss era, this cheat on your man, get a divorce, all that, because the main character Anna Wintour also gets a divorce in this film. I think this may
Mm-hmm.
have kind of led to that because women saw that they couldn't have it all. They saw that home life will suffer, you know, and it's like this for everybody, and we're still as a society trying to work out the balance. But it's kind of like looking. That's what these things, these films from an era, they allow you to look back and try to like see like, oh, these are common sentiments of this era. This was a pop film because this is, and it has the ideals of the pop culture in it at the time. And some of the things we saw and lessons we learned and just all that, it's like, oh, I see why things are the way they are now with just the public consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another thing I noted when I was watching this film, when she goes from, you know, pretty girl next door to, you know, fashion girl boss, she gets bangs, and bangs are hideous. There's something only women like. Like bangs are the ugliest hairstyle I've ever imagined, and it made perfect sense that when she stopped caring about her boyfriend and only cared about her job and other women in the fashion world, she
Oh
got
my!
bangs. Like it made
I know
so
you're
much
fucking
sense.
lying.
Wow, you're not
You
supposed to
oh,
cuss. You're not supposed to curse on my show. Do
sorry,
you? All
sorry.
right.
No way. You're like, oh my god, if my girl gets bangs, she hates me.
And she's cheating on me emotionally at the very least. 100%. Any woman with bangs is
Is
a
it
cheater.
for
That's
real? No, what is wrong with you? That is not a thing.
I saw it in this movie, so it must be true. Women with bangs cheat.
No way. Like that's not correlated. It's like, dang, my girl hates me.
Yeah, no,
My girl got bangs. I think she's cheating on me.
not even think. I know she's cheating on me if she got bangs. You know what
I
my
think
go ahead.
you just hate bangs.
You know what I do, but everybody does, and you should know that. Like if you get bangs, you hate your husband. You know the boyfriend in the film. He had
Yeah.
his version of the Cerulean speech towards the middle end, where he said the
Hmm.
person whose calls you always take, that's who you're really in a relationship with. Talking about her and her boss, loved that line actually. That was my Cerulean. Like that was like you know your little sweater moment. That was that for me because I was like, yeah, you tell her you're cheating on me with your boss and that guy I don't know about. And like really felt
Oh,
good for him to.
wait. Okay, the guy that she didn't know, I could understand that. But what do you mean you're cheating on me with your boss? You just said that
No,
in
no,
New
no.
York.
That's a
That's how
joke.
everybody
No,
works.
yeah, that's a joke.
Oh.
But also Loki, he was right. Like I've seen. That's the thing. I've seen a lot of other people who criticize this film, criticize him and hate him. I liked his character. He was right.
Of course you did.
Why wouldn't I? What did he do wrong?
He was not supportive of her at all when this was something
It
that she
was
really
it
wanted.
was not something she really wanted. It was something she got sucked into that sucked, made her a different person. Like this was a terrible, terrible like path for her. That's why
But
she quit at
she,
the end.
yeah, but during that time where she decided to stick it out, he was not supportive. Like
Why would you be
he
so?
thought he was outgrowing, she was outgrowing him and not prioritizing him, which, is understandable, but he was not being supportive of her.
Why would you support? You don't have to support your partner when they make bad decisions. And she was making.
But that's the thing. At the time, she wasn't making a bad decision. She was just trying to do her job. Like it's something that she wanted to complete. Like she didn't even want to do it at first, but she needed to complete it. She wanted to complete it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not even one of those situations where it's like, oh, like it really isn't that she wanted it as badly. I guess it's the fact that she just needed to get it done.
She didn't need to
So
though.
like,
She didn't understand that either. And that's the thing. You can do a job and be like, "Oh, I have to do this to survive." Don't let the job affect who you are as a person, which she did 1,000%. And the person she became was worse. That literally, the movie agrees with me. This is the crazy part. The people who made the movie, at the end, had her quit the job because it was turning her into a terrible person. Like it's
it was turning her into a different person, and I guess the most terrible thing that she did was cheat on her boyfriend, which, yeah, that's bad, but at the same time, she was so lost before she got there.
She was not
That's how
lost.
she got sucked into it.
She
Yeah,
was
she
not
was.
lost.
That's
She had a very clear plan.
no,
She
but that's how she got sucked into it in the first place.
No,
And
she just
that
needed a job. She had a plan to go right for the New Yorker. And she would have gotten there eventually, possibly. She just had to.
right, but what I'm saying by she was lost is that if she was clear on that, then that's what she would have done. You know what I mean? That would
She
have been her end goal.
That was her
And
end goal.
it didn't end up being that.
It did. She went and did that at the end. Did you watch the same movie as me? At the end of the movie, she goes and
I
does
watched
that
the
job.
same movie as you, but she became a different person
A
because
worse
she was
one.
also just finding herself, or like finding out who she was without her boyfriend, without a friend
No,
in her ear.
she was finding out. No, she was finding out while she was with him. She wasn't breaking up with him and figuring out who she was.
I feel like you took the cheating very personally, and that made you hate the character till the end.
No, I actually like her character a lot, minus the cheating. Like, if we ignore the cheating and her snaking out Emily, her coworker, I think she was better at the end. I just think that the idea that from other critics I've seen of this movie, it's not even like the movie agrees with me. That's the crazy part. Like, I'm not mad at the writers of the movie. I'm criticizing other critics now because there's just a big trend online lately to call him the villain of this movie when he is a victim. She's the villain of this movie is not Meryl Streep's character. It is not the boyfriend. It's not her friends who call her out for cheating. See, her friends get criticized. Her friends didn't do anything wrong. The real villain of this movie is the main character, is Anne Hathaway's character, is Andy. Andy is the villain because she decides to snake out her friends, to cheat on her boyfriend, to snake out her coworkers, and all of it for what? At the end of the day, she still quit the job. So, hey, that's
I
one.
just feel like that's something that she had to go through.
You don't
Like
have
it
to.
was part of her character development.
You know what? Analyzing it as a film, you're right. For the plot of the film, it was very necessary. It was great for the plot of the film. It absolutely, we had to see her make mistakes and all that. But don't, just because you like the character, don't sit here and try to like say they aren't mistakes. She is a bad
I mean,
person.
they are mistakes, but I don't think that makes somebody a bad person.
Cheating,
Like,
snaking out your friends, lying, manipulating, and doing it all for nothing makes you a bad person. Do you agree that her boss is a bad person? Yes or no?
no.
Okay,
I don't think it's that black and white.
her boss is a bad
Because you
person.
can see why her boss acts the way that she acts. She acts that way because of, first of all, she has a super demanding job. And basically, if something goes wrong with that, if people aren't up to par with what she needs, it reflects badly on her and just the entire institution of the magazine. And she was going through a divorce. Like, obviously, she's choosing her career first, and she lost it all. And the point of the movie was like, because Andy was basically turning into her, right? Into her boss.
And everybody
And the
around
point,
her said, "You're a worse person now."
and so she decided to leave
So
because she
she,
didn't want to be her boss, and it showed what her boss lost or what her future would have been. Her boss ended up alone. Not even she couldn't ever even keep a assistant, and she ended up alone and divorced with kids. Like,
yeah,
that's what would have happened to Andy had she kept going. So that's why she left.
absolutely.
But Nate, I just feel like she should have just broken up with him a lot earlier, and
I
it
feel
would
like
have saved him the trouble.
he should have never took her back, especially after she went and got that extra body from the blonde-haired guy. I think he's the real victim of this movie. She's the villain, and that's the moral. That's the lesson we wanted to take. Thank you so much for coming on today, Angie. It was great to talk to you. That's going to be a tight, perfect window to end this and wrap it all up. And thank you to all of you for listening. I do hope you have a wonderful day. Please like and subscribe.